I'm not an academic, and I'm just going to respond from the point of view of my practice and at the Candle Project, and what I see my colleagues working with and what happens there. And Candle Project, based in London, a large city, of course, South London, and we work with children up to the age of 18, where the death is, even though we're based in a hospice, we actually work with the majority of children. The death was not under the hospice, quite a lot of them were sudden death. I found the report really interesting, and I'm trying to think, I can't quite think of the word, but I think it was done with such thought and care for the people who you interviewed. It's lovely. That really came over for me. And it has surprised me and also has got me thinking in a different way about the work that I do. So, for example, one of the things that I've been thinking about is the issue of the importance of education, and how the family members prioritised education as the majority, the most important thing that mattered more than anything, more than money, emotional expression, advice, etc., etc. And what I started to wonder about that, and in relation to the Candle Project, the majority of our referrals come from schools. And the majority, and even those that don't come from schools, which are referring to children's struggles at school, come from people referring themselves to the school and saying what problem these children are having at school and how difficult it is. And I was just thinking about how significant that is in terms of children's future and security, this issue of education, and how really much more important it is than perhaps I'd quite worked out before somehow. One of the things that I had not written about when I wrote this, but thought about when you were just presenting now, was this issue of crying and not showing tears, not trying to restrain tears, and how important that is. Again, I think that's a really big agenda for many, many bereaved children. It's not good to show tears at school. It's not good to show tears in front of your friends, especially for teenagers. And lots of parents and family members worry about. I had a conversation earlier this week about somebody who's ringing up, who I was speaking to a mum because their son had a crying fit because she had produced a toy that belonged to his twin brother who died 4 years ago. And I just think, well, of course, why wouldn't you cry? Because it reminded him of something sad. But for her, it was a fit, and it was not good. It was an absolute clear example of why he needed help. The other issues that came up for me was a different issue, is the importance of neighbours. Very rarely do the people that I work with talk about their neighbours. Occasionally they do, and they may talk about friends, but very rarely neighbours. It's really important, that issue about neighbours. And the importance of prayer, and you talked about the importance of prayer and continuing bonds. And I was a bit appalled about the constraints that women were put under in this process, and how hard all the rituals, and I don't think I've made this up, but that one woman said something about not being able to lay in her bed or sit in a chair. I just think, well, where do you sleep if you're not allowed to lay in the bed? On the floor. And the unequal distribution of wealth following a death with regard to male and female relatives. And then the bit I'd love to know more about is how many is the care of children in the future. How many changes that they have, and how often they had to move, and how many changes of carers they have. Anyway,
thank you. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much.
Fallo. Njarem gerem nalla hono godo bite. Mawra dam tat bi do men on amni ma